Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.
Hello and welcome to Undercurrent. I'm Christy Molliker. Tonight finds me in the picture-perfect Queen's Gardens, right next to our world-famous cricket ground, the Wacker, and Gloucester Park here in East Perth. But more about that later. Well, this week, in light of recent events, Janae Tomlinson spoke with the Human Rights Alliance about children in prison.
With so much talk about the 14-year-old in jail in Bali, it is shocking to discover there are numerous Indonesian boys claiming to be underage locked up in our adult prisons. We talked to Jerry Georgatos from the Human Rights Alliance about these underage boys. He claims there are as many as 100 age disputes currently ongoing in Australia.
I at one stage had the Indonesian consulate from Perth go into Hakea prison, and the Indonesian Vice Consul has confirmed to me that there were 16 age disputes in that one prison. In May of this year, the AFP, the Australian Federal Police, affirmed to various sources that there are 70 age disputes. Since then, 33 have had charges withdrawn and have gone home, 7 through the courts and the rest behind the scenes after heavy campaigning. However, from those there are still 32 confirmed age disputes by the Australian Federal Police. That's 32 too many who have languished in there for a year or 2 years.
Did you know there are many underage Indonesian boys in Australian prisons being charged with people smuggling?
No.
No, I didn't. No.
No, I didn't.
No?
I didn't know about it, no.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not interested in foreign people.
The youth that's actually assisting in the safe passage of asylum seekers as cooks and deckhands or even as skippers on these boats do come from the most impoverished villages in Indonesia, do come from the most impoverished towns, utter poverty, abject poverty. These children come from villages and towns where they don't, partake in the news media. They don't have a television. They don't spend their time reading newspapers and know of what goes on in Australia. They hop on a boat to make $10, $50 or $100 for their families, thinking that they've committed no crime and not understanding the full consequences of their action. Sadly, some of the children that I've spoken to, one in particular has said to me, Jerry, surprisingly, prisons are better than the immigration detention centre facilities that we've been confined within. The personnel are a lot more understanding. The difference is that we've done no crime and shouldn't be here. We don't want to be here. There are more courses and things to do in prison than there actually are in immigration detention. But for them, the big difference is that they're with hardened criminality, and that scares them. That scares the living daylights out of them, and they're confining themselves a lot to cells and head down, something that they shouldn't have to be, brought before 14, 15, 16, 17 years of age, as I said to the Prime Minister. If this was happening to Australian-born and bred children overseas, it would be an international incident and it would be outraged by our government, as is the case on behalf and in part hypocritically for the boy in Bali at the moment, who at least is in an appropriate jurisdiction and recognised as a child.
I have just now spoken with our ambassador in Jakarta, Ambassador Moriarty. I've indicated to him that his number one priority in the immediate period ahead is how we support this young boy and his family and do everything we can to obtain his early return to Australia.
It is utter hypocrisy and political opportunism by both Rudd and Gillard, because they have a capacity to have intervened on behalf of these children here and did not. And if we want to understand that a little bit further, then we can actually argue it as discrimination and racism, because that's what it actually is. We wouldn't have stood for this if it was our children overseas, born and bred in the same predicament. I believe that there is up to 100 age disputes. I believe what we need is a national inquiry to make sure that we have spoken to every Indonesian incarcerated, and there are hundreds in there. And it doesn't matter what the numbers are, whether they be 50 or 100 or 150, we need to remove that doubt. And we can only remove that imputation, that aspersion, that doubt, if we get a review.
It appears to me we should raise a question as to why more research isn't being conducted and more tests done to find the actual age of these boys. After all, they too are just victims of the alleged people smuggling trade. I'm Janae Tomlinson, reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, the beautiful Queen's Gardens were unveiled way back in 1899 by the then Lord Mayor of the city, Alexander Forrest, in a time when things were surely much simpler here in Western Australia. Well, in our next story, DHK News investigates the dramatic effect the constant rise in utility costs have here in Western Australia.
Pensioners and young families are among the many West Australians struggling with rising utility costs. Electricity prices have gone up 57% since 2009 and are expected to rise by another 30% over the next 3 years. A suburb-by-suburb breakdown released in Parliament has revealed which areas of Perth have been hardest hit by the recent increases in electricity prices. The breakdown shows the average bill increase between the start of 2009 and the start of this year.
Government ministers in particular need to understand what they're doing to Western Australian families. Liberal members of Parliament in outer suburban electorates need to understand what they're doing to West Australian families. Let me give you some of the figures. In Wangara, in the seat of Wanneroo, a $192 increase in the average bill. In Joondalup in Currambine, a $113 increase. In Balcatta, in Stirling, a $112 increase.
The General Manager at People Who Care, a volunteer organisation which provides help to people in need. He says that over the last 3 years, double the amount of people are coming to his organisation for help.
Yeah, over probably the last 2 years, we've noticed a lot more requests for services at People Who Care. We've got about 3,000 clients. 3 years ago, 1 out of every 5 or 6 people were asking for help. Now it's 1 out of every 3 people. And the biggest request for help is paying power bills. Things around electricity and utilities have gone up so much that clients just can't afford to turn air conditioning on or heating on.
The Hardship Utility Grant Scheme, or HUGs, have recently revealed the amount of people who have received help from HUGs to pay electricity bills has quadrupled since this time last year.
Well, it's made me think about the bottom line. I keep my eye on the power, and I don't have the hot water going all the time. I turn it off after about 5 hours. Once I've had my shower, I turn it off, and then there's enough for me today with living in the retirement centre.
It's a very, very big impact on how the electricity has gone up, how everything has gone up, how people are suffering. I've always been brought up there's people worse off than me, but still, I still do battle, and I find that I sort of only just survive.
Under the Barnett government, utility prices are expected to continue to soar, leaving more West Australians to suffer from high electricity costs.
Well, it seems that the constant rise in living is a constant bugbear for many of us here in Western Australia. And with many Australians having no access to dental cover, it raises the question, should the government cough up and provide universal dental cover for all? Sarah Miller took to the streets to find out.
Recent statistics show that 35% of Australians can't afford to go to the dentist. So should dental care come under Medicare? To find out what you think about this, we hit the streets of Perth.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Guess so.
Yes, we should.
It'd be nice. It would be nice. Yeah.
I think the government should do something. They seem to be wasting a whole lot of money on other things.
No.
No? Why is that?
Because who's going to pay for it?
Do you...
We got Medicare, right? Yeah, got your normal things, right? But to be free, we just can't afford it. We can't even afford the Medicare, so...
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, need dental care, and I think a lot of people take their teeth for granted and don't look after them themselves.
At least cheaper, because it's very expensive.
I think, living in this country, it's quite a developed country compared to the rest of the world. I'm pretty sure that, if a country like Canada can provide, their people free healthcare, then I think a country like Australia can, give us free dental care.
I have Aussie friends, and I know that they're spending a lot of money. I'm from Israel. I know that they're spending a lot of money on medical care and dental and whatever, and we actually get it almost for free.
Included like in the insurance, like in the healthcare when they provide, or a plan. For example, in the United States, there are doctors that are private with dental, and there are doctors that work for the government. Yeah, and the government have a plan with them, so they can provide for the people that cannot go private.
No, you earn money, you pay for things that you want. Can't afford it, but they can afford a lot of other things that are not really necessary. They have nights out, drink beer, wine, whatever. Just put the money in for your teeth.
Do you think people should be willing to pay higher taxes to compensate for this?
Well, they'd have to do, wouldn't they? The money's got to come from somewhere.
No, why?
Yeah, possibly, actually. Yeah, that's the way they do it in the UK, so...
In the beginning, people kind of, have to readjust to getting a little less money, but I don't think it'll take long, for people to get used to it, so...
Pay high taxes anyway, so what's the difference?
I used to work at the Australian Taxation Office, and without saying too much, I know there are ways where we can be more assertive. I was going to say the word aggressive, but if we were more assertive, we could get a lot greater tax base, and that would pay for that in an instant and be no problem whatsoever.
While most people believe that dental care should be completely free, there are still a number of people unwilling to pay higher taxes to compensate for cheaper dental. I'm Sarah Miller, reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, pardon the pun, but it certainly is food for thought. And if you would like to have your say, you can join us every Tuesday in the city when we film our Vox Pops. Well, join me after the break for more Undercurrent here from the beautiful Queen's Gardens in East Perth.
Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.